Everyone, it's Miss Brenner. I hope you're all doing well and staying happy and healthy. In this video, I am going to be going over the assignment for our final exam for science fiction. This is your Build Your Own Dystopian Society assignment. I am not going to be going over individual due dates for my separate classes in this video. If you are in my face-to-face class or home hybrid, please look at the direction paper and ask me in person about individual due dates and look at the calendar in the back of the classroom. If you are in my online class, please look in the week 18 agenda video for due dates as far as these assignments. But I'm not going to be going over each individual step and their due dates in this video. So as far as directions, the final assignment, which is what this leads up to, will be due on June 3rd, 2021, which is the final exam date. Students will use this worksheet in preparation for the final exam. The steps used in this worksheet are required and will be used to build the foundation for a fictional dystopian society. As far as your final exam essay, it must be at least 300 of your own words. The 300 should not be on top of any direct quotes or evidence that you use. This has a clear, complex, argumentative thesis, which addresses your chosen prompt, which we'll get to at the end, and your essay must contain multiple paragraphs with a clear introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. Your essay must be in MLA format, including MLA heading, works cited page, double-spaced in Times New Roman 12-point font with properly integrated quotes. So your final exam is on June 3rd, and it ends on June 3rd at 12:05 p.m. Alrighty, as far as the different steps in building your own dystopian society, step 1 is the catalyst. So the catalyst is or are the event or events prior to the current formation of a dystopian society that set the wheel in motion for the social order and its functions. A dystopian society could be a result of a wide variety of events, such as widespread destruction, war, disease, scientific discoveries, natural disasters, lots of other things. However, it is typically an event that has a dramatic impact on the human race to the point that without a change to the social system, society would crumble. So some examples of this in Brave New World, we have like a World War III style event that causes the formation of the social structure in our novel. And it is able to form during those chaotic times following the mass destruction around the globe worldwide. As far as the Hunger Games, it forms a little bit differently. They have an uprising that pushes back against the government, and as punishment, the government creates different caste systems and a lower class. The punishment was due to this revolution, and it follows for years to come as the government punishes them to restore order and keep the ruling state in power. As far as Fade to White, which is a short story that you guys read, the society exists due to a fallout situation from a nuclear war and has either wiped out the majority of the world's population or has contaminated a large portion of the Earth's surface, making it incredibly difficult to maintain civilization and grow a healthy population. And then in To Be or Not to Be, the society occurs due to a large growth in population after a technological discovery that extended the lifespan of the average human being. So these are all different examples of catalysts. You are going to create your own scenario that has a catalyst as well. So you're going to need to determine the catalyst that will impact the prior civilization and will one day form your dystopian society. Often these catalysts are hinted at in the author's writing, but are fully developed backstories in the mind of the author. When building your dystopian society, it is important to consider the prior events that would have impacted the population of the society and the rise to power seen in the dystopia. Your dystopian societies are a satirical magnification of the world we live in, so feel free to use real events that are happening currently. Keep in mind that this is a prologue of sorts to your modern dystopian society, so it can be in third person. I'm looking for 100 words minimum, which if you're looking for a reference, it's about as long as the directions that you see there in like pinkish purple. Step 2 is the form of the dystopian society. So there are 4 major forms that we talked about, which is bureaucratic, religious, technological, and corporate. Please reference your notes for any information that you might need when creating your dystopia. Many dystopian societies are a combination of these forms, demonstrating overlapping qualities to create a working system of control. So once again, if we were looking at examples, Brave New World is a combination of about all 4. I would recommend not making your dystopia that complicated because that is a lot that you'd have to cover. Maybe try and do 2. So if we look at like Fade to White is a combination of bureaucratic and corporate. The government has enforced a reproduction program after a nuclear war wipes out the majority of the population, or they suffer from radiation rendering them infertile. The media pushes the ideals of the reproduction program by marketing the beauty of fertility. So that would be an example of a crossover. And then To Be or Not to Be is a technological and a bureaucratic dystopian society. The scientific discoveries that lead to eternal life cause the society to form around this technology. The government then enforces the laws to support this technology, finding that living a long life is more important than giving people a chance to live. So those are my examples. As far as your directions for step 2, you need to determine the form of dystopian society you envision to form due to the catalyst that you explained in step 1. Use details to explain the formation of the dystopian society and how the ruling force maintains power. So depending upon what type or what overlap you may have, if you're doing a religious dystopia, you will need to explain the form of religion, who or what the society worships, and how they worship and why. As far as a corporate dystopia, you will need to explain how an industry bought out society, how the economy is the central form within the power structure of the society, what corporation is in control, and how this corporation maintains control. Bureaucratic dystopia, you will need to explain the form of government model functioning within the dystopia, how the government rules are established and dispersed throughout the dystopia, and how the government maintains control. Technological dystopia, you will need to explain the technological advancements in scientific discoveries, the scientific discoveries in real factual information, and how these advances in technological change the perspective of morals of humanity. So once again, your response should be about 100 words. In case you're looking for like a size reference in this red section, it's shorter than this. Step 3 is background information. So this is going to require some form of research. So when it comes to dystopias, the background information is the textual events, phrases, individuals, and scientific discoveries referenced throughout a dystopian premise that help the satirical magnification of modern society to reflect reality. The scientific and historical content referenced by authors when building a dystopian society are what separate the dystopian future from a fantasy realm. It is this ability to demonstrate the escalation of events from current reality that could lead to this distant, undesirable future. So authors do this in a variety of ways, but it is essential in order to create a more vivid and visual dystopia that there is some elements that ground the dystopia in reality. So as far as Brave New World, they do this through a variety of historical events, including the invention of the Model T car, the construction and manufacturing line, Henry Ford, Shakespeare, and a whole lot of other ones. There are a large number of scientific references, including the concept of sleep teaching, overconsumption of drugs, eugenics, cloning, and manipulation of genetics. As far as the Hunger Games, there are references to a variety of governmental structures that have changed throughout history, as well as the intrinsic social stigmas within different class structures. The Hunger Game also uses they tread between a line of scientific reality and fantasy through exotic species, military equipment, and the dome within which the game takes place. As far as Fade to White, it makes references to a variety of political and historical topics such as prejudice and legislature against interracial reproduction, the nuclear family, government involvement in social norms, and the impact of global nuclear war. As far as To Be or Not to Be, it references a variety of scientific discoveries and plausible theories that have been tested throughout history. The concept of ending aging, overpopulation, world hunger, and sustainability are all issues at the forefront of the scientific community. This dystopian society also plays into the central idea of mental health and the purpose of life and the moral obligation to save lives. So they all have their own ways of grounding in reality with things that concern society. You are going to need to do that as well. That means that you're going to need to conduct research about historical events, scientific discoveries, and significant figures in the world you want to weave into the narrative of your dystopian society. You'll need to explain how these elements of factual information create a sense of depth to your dystopian society and tie the science fiction world to the reality in which we live. All historical events, science fiction discoveries, individuals, and other research information must be cited in the citation box in this portion of the assignment so that the information is verified as factual, which is a 100-word minimum, including the citation. So your response should be 100 words. Your citations are separate, but you must have citations. So let's say you wanted to make this world about Kanye West, and he ends up becoming the ruler of your new world after he releases some really popular song that I can't think of off the top of my head. So you would need to conduct research about Kanye West and put that in your citations, and any other maybe scientific happenings that impact your ruler Kanye West. Okay? So please make sure that you keep citations so that way you can use it later on for your final exam essay. Step 4 is the dystopian controls, and there are only 4 steps in case you're wondering. So this is a dystopian societies are able to maintain a state of voluntary servitude through implementing a series of dystopian controls. There are 9 that we have covered, and these are the 9 that I'm looking for you to implement in your society. I'm asking you to use 4 of them. The 9 are: 1, propaganda is used to control citizens of the society. 2, information, independent thought, and freedom are restricted. 3, a figurehead or concept is worshipped by citizens of the society. 4, citizens are perceived to be under constant surveillance. 5, citizens have a fear of the outside world. 6, citizens live in a dehumanized state. 7, the natural world is banished and distrusted. 8, citizens conform to uniform expectations. Individuality and dissent are bad. 9, the society is an illusion of a perfect utopian world. So I'm asking you to pick 4 out of those at a minimum as methods you would use to maintain control within your dystopian society. Explain the methods and give examples how these forms would be implemented by the controlling force and maintained to create a sense of happy servitude within a dystopian society. And this is a minimum of 100 words, telling me how you plan to implement those. As far as your final exam essay, you have 2 possible options. So the first one is a more realistic option. Option 1 is an application for publication. A publishing company has recently shown interest in your writing and wants to read a cover letter in relation to your vision before sponsoring the production of your dystopian novel. Write a thesis-centered cover letter about your dystopian novel, which you outline in the steps above. Craft a thesis statement and support the expectations within the thesis statement with direct references to your revolutionary dystopian society. So I have already listed how to create a thesis in prior assignments. If you need to go back and reference that, that is perfectly fine, but I didn't put it in this document. Instead, I gave examples of thesis statements. You may use these in order to help get your writing process going and to think about how you want to craft a thesis statement, but you cannot copy and paste these as your original thesis statement. So there are my examples of thesis statements there. Option 2 is a tour of a dystopian world. So this is a more creative option. Have a character or characters go on a tour of your dystopian society. Your tour should have a tour guide who is fully dedicated to the growth and development of your dystopian society. This could be an AI, a world controller, or just a dedicated follower, but somebody that's giving the tour. Your tour should demonstrate the dystopian controls used to maintain happiness within the society and use language and that grooms new members, like those on the tour, to conform to the society, such as hypnopedic proverbs or state mottos. So once again, I did not put down how to create the thesis. If you need to go back and look at past documents to look at how to create the thesis, that is perfectly fine. Instead, I gave examples of thesis statements that you could use in this scenario. Once again, do not copy and paste them. Come up with your own thesis statements, but I hope that these will give you an idea of what your thesis statement should do. Alrighty, those are all of our directions for your final exam. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I would be more than happy to help or answer any questions that you have. Your final exam essay is due on June 3rd by 12:05 p.m. Alrighty, guys, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.